Watch what you say. Joseph Murphy on how self-hypnosis shapes our lives. Have you ever wondered why some people live in joy and prosperity and others in hardship and suffering? Why some people are lucky in everything, while others are constantly haunted by failure? Why do some people manage to recover from so-called incurable disease, while others die from it? These were the questions posed by Joseph Murphy, a researcher of positive thinking. For many of us, Joseph Murphy is a true source of inspiration. This great man, who began his journey in 1898 in Ballydehob, Ireland, studied chemical sciences in England and Ireland. After receiving his degree, he decided to move to the United States, where he became known not as a chemist, but as a philosopher, writer and mentor. Joseph Murphy has taught thousands of people, helping them unlock the potential of their subconscious mind to create a happy, prosperous and wealthy life. And it's important to note that Joseph Murphy had the answers to all the whys we started the story with. He was one of the first to start talking about the fact that we ourselves influence our lives through our thoughts. He began giving his first lectures on the possibilities of our subconscious mind 60 years ago. In these lectures, the researcher not only explained how a person's thoughts shape their destiny, but also shared amazing stories that confirmed his theories and that he personally observed. My relative brought himself to such an outcome. One such case happened to a relative of Joseph Murphy. While traveling in India, this man, out of curiosity, visited a fortune teller, and she predicted his imminent death before the next full moon. Up to that point, he had been feeling perfectly healthy and full of life. But after this encounter, his life changed. Upon returning home, he shared this information with his loved ones, wrote a will, and began to await his death. And, as the soothsayer predicted, he passed away before the full moon, dying of sudden cardiac arrest. Joseph Murphy noted that his relative had created this outcome himself. The influence exerted by the soothsayer was deeply embedded in his mind. He told everyone only about his impending death and adopted this negative attitude. His gloomy thoughts, panic and fear of impending death began to destroy his physical health. But if the relative had been aware of the laws of his consciousness and rejected the influence of this soothsayer, she would not have been able to influence or harm him, Joseph Murphy argued. Each of us has our own inner fears, beliefs, attitudes that we once instilled in ourselves. These beliefs, adopted by our conscious mind, control and direct our entire life through our subconscious mind. Here is another example. If you tell everyone before dinner that you don't like mushrooms, and shortly thereafter they add mushrooms to a sauce or salad, you will get an upset stomach. This is how your subconscious mind will react to the suggestion. Those suggestions that you do not accept with your consciousness will have no power over you. Murphy was convinced that it is our subconscious mind that reacts to our every thought. One of Murphy's main arguments was that our subconscious mind does not distinguish between positive and negative thoughts, it reacts to all of them without exception. This means that if we are constantly thinking negative things, our subconscious mind will respond accordingly, and this can lead to negative results in our lives. On the other hand, if we pay attention to positive thoughts and beliefs, our subconscious mind will support us in achieving our goals and desires. I would give my arm if only it would get better. Joseph Murphy also told another story about the power of self-hypnosis. It was so amazing that it was written about in the newspapers. This story is about a man whose daughter had deforming arthritis. The suggested treatments did not help the girl. Looking at his daughter's suffering, her father once said in his heart, "I would give my hand if only she would get better." And these words found expression in his life. One day, the hero of this story was driving home with his daughter. They had been in a car accident. The girl's father lost his arm, but after the accident his daughter's condition began to improve. Soon her ailment disappeared. This story is another proof that we need to watch what suggestions our minds receive. All of them should heal us, inspire us, strengthen our self-confidence, elevate our spirit, Joseph Murphy told his listeners. In The Power of Suggestion convinced and listeners of Murphy's lectures, who after their visit began to change their thoughts. In 1962, the researcher was approached by a college professor. He told Joseph Murphy that his whole life went upside down, he lost his health, wealth and friends. Joseph Murphy recommended to this man to repeat the following words daily: I am in excellent health. I know and feel that everything in my life happens according to the principle of right action. I have peace, abundance and love in my life. A month after this talk, Joseph Murphy received a letter from his listener. The college professor reported that for the first time in many years, positive changes had begun to occur in his life. The letter writer also mentioned that he repeats these words daily with the belief that results are sure to follow. Watch what you say. You will have to hold yourself accountable for every rash word. Never say, I won't be able to deal with my debts, I'm too old, everything is lost to me. Your subconscious mind does not understand jokes, it follows any instructions. Remember that you have freedom of choice. Choose health and happiness. Choose cooperation, friendliness, love, and the whole world will respond to you. According to Joseph Murphy, many of his listeners who complained to him about their gloomy moods and irritability were surprisingly receptive to self-injury and achieved good results. I recommend it to my listeners that they recite 3 times a day the following formulation: I am becoming more and more good-natured. A feeling of joy and cheerfulness become my natural state. I infect the people around me with my good mood. Thinking good thoughts, I receive only good things. Life is an endless pleasure. Already within a month of work with this formulation brought my listeners positive fruits, noted Joseph Murphy. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil, what you sow, you reap. Imagine a wonderful garden filled with fragrances, where fruit trees, various flowers, rose bushes and jasmine grow, where lilies and lotuses bloom on the purest ponds, and the air is filled with the trills of birds. This garden has everything that brings you joy, and every year it generously gives you a rich harvest. For some reason, however, this garden has been abandoned, and now it is covered with weeds, and what was pleasing to the eye is now only depressing and depressing. Our mind, our consciousness and subconsciousness can be compared to such a garden. As long as we take care of it, it gives us a wonderful harvest, presents us everything we dream of. But if we forget about it, everything becomes neglected and overgrown with weeds, and in life happens something that does not please us at all. We have incredible wealth that can make us happy, prosperous, healthy people who can do anything they want. But this wealth remains only potential until we learn to manage it. To manage means to sow the garden of the mind with light and goodness in order to get everything we dream of. It is from the seeds we sow that the harvest grows. It is impossible to remove a crop of apples or wheat if you sow the whole garden with thistles. Even if you do it accidentally, just by letting the thistle seeds swoop in from different directions and not weeding out the sprouts in time. Likewise, we cannot get anything good out of life if we sow in our minds longing, discouragement, fear, anxiety, anger and resentment, anxious premonitions and distrust of good things. Most of the time we do this subconsciously. In other words, all these unwanted but very harmful pessimistic, negative, unnecessary thoughts and feelings come to us as if not by our will. It happens that we get used to this state of our thoughts and feelings, and it is accepted almost as a norm. But subconsciousness is organized in such a way that it does not understand whether we sow it with such weeds of our own free will or not. It is like a fertile soil on which everything that is sown grows. Both the subconscious and the fertile soil in the garden are incapable of critical thinking. For the soil is not able to decide whether a seed is good or bad. For it, the soil, everything planted is good, and it will give everything the strength to live, give life-giving juices, help everything to grow and blossom. Start to keep track of the thoughts that come into your head. Set aside some time to do this. For example, decide that you will notice the thoughts that come into your head for the next half hour, or throughout your commute to work, or on your lunch break. Just be aware of what you are thinking. How important are those thoughts? What changes as you think about them? Do you come to any conclusions and decisions, or is it just a waste of time? Start controlling your thoughts, sift out all the random and unnecessary things that come into your head. You'll notice that paying attention to your thoughts can stop your internal dialogue. Make it harder, try tracking every thought that comes into your head without evaluating how useful or necessary it is. Imagine that you are like a hunter tracking, what thought will come to your mind next? If you are a truly vigilant hunter, thoughts cannot enter your head. They arise only when you are in an unconscious state. It is worth entering the state of conscious thought tracking and staying in it for a while, and you will stop the internal dialogue. To begin with, try to stay in a state of thoughtlessness for a few seconds, then gradually prolong this state. You will feel that a pleasant feeling of lightness is associated with stopping the inner dialogue, as if you are moving in some flow. This means that you have connected with your inner source of divinity. Remember this state, and use it as soon as you notice an invasion of negative thoughts that poison your inner world. As we end this video, we want you to know that your support is very important to us. Every comment you make is invaluable, and together with you we make this channel a place where inspiration and wisdom thrive. Peace of mind, happiness and joy to you and your loved ones. See you again.